All right, intermittent fasting or short IF. I think it became famous in 2011, something like that. But I found it in 2015 towards the end of 2015, which is when I started um, watching a lot of YouTube channels about fitness again, and I was starting. I'm Training is a long time habit for me, but kind of left it a little bit behind in 2014 and 13, and then in 2015 I started over again and basically watched a lot of YouTube stuff from the top trainers, and nearly all of them talked about IF, so I got naturally interested in it and did some research. I read the book Eat Stop Eat and so on, and since I since to December 2015 I started implementing it, and I really liked it. The way it frees up time, so one feels more flexible and also energized in the morning. I mean, it's not like you know. I mean, it's not like um, one feels like high or something, but I can focus on doing stuff in the morning instead of eating and then feeling craving more and so on. So for me, it works. And lately, I read another book about IF, The Fast Diet. I think it's one of the better books about IF. And yeah, it basically tells the story how evolution programmed us to eat and then have periods of fasting. And there are two studies which show. Well, then the book asks where does this advice come from that we had to eat many small meals per day, because that was the classical advice I got too when I started training about 10 years ago, I think. When I first started training, the normal advice was, yeah, you have to eat every 3 or 4 hours, but it turns out that that's BS. Our bodies are much more adaptive than that. Our ancestors' DNA wasn't programmed so that if they didn't eat every 3 or 4 hours, then their bodies started to burn up all their muscles, and so if that was true, then we wouldn't be here. So why then came people up with that advice? And the book basically names two studies which show that it's wrong, that eating multiple or in several small meals is not as effective as IF. First of all, studies have shown that 30 years ago, people ate 180 less calories in snacks and also 120 less calories per meal. So if it was true that eating more often reduces our cravings in the big meals and so reduces our calorie intake in the big meals, then it shouldn't be the case that we today eat 120 more calories per per meal. So clearly, the evidence shows that eating more often does not lead to less calorie intake, which is what that advice was all about. Yeah, it basically said that if you eat more often, then blah blah, your protein intake, your muscles grow faster, and your metabolism gets accelerated, and so and you eat less crap food and so on. Then there was another study performed by the Clinical and Experimental Medicine in Prague with two groups of diabetics. They both consumed 1700 calories per day and were divided in two groups. One group had 2 meals and the other group 6 meals per day. What they found is that despite having the same amount of calories per day, the 2 meal group lost an average of 1.4 kilograms and 1.5 inches more from their waist than the 6 meal snacker group. So doing IF seems to help with weight loss, and that's actually pretty logical if you read the book. Which one was it? I've read so many books about nutrition lately. Why We Get Fat. That's the book. That book explains how insulin and all that. Basically, every time we eat something, our insulin rises, and therefore we basically, if we eat all day long, then our bodies are storing fat all day long. We are in an anabolic state all the time, and in order to burn fat we have to enter the catabolic state. But if we have an intake of calories all day, then that does not happen. I think only after about 8 hours our bodies start to use stored fat as calories, if I recall that correctly. You can check out the book in my blog. If you just enter in my blog and search the title of the book, then you will find the summary. So that's about it for today. I had to finish my greens. Very important. If you don't have this book, then you should get it. It's, in my opinion, the best nutrition book right now out there. See you in the second part. There is more about this book, but I think it's enough for today. See you.